My name's Adam, and scientific fact for you, the universe is f***ing terrifying. Think about it, all life and warmth on our planet comes from the sun, an 850,000 mile wide uncontrollable nuclear furnace that spews out balls of fire with the force of 30 billion atomic warheads every single day. Meanwhile, planets smash into each other, entire galaxies are sucked into black holes, and science keeps finding new and ever more terrifying ways the universe could snuff us all out in the blink of an eye if it so wished. Not that it's going to help one jot, but being forewarned is indeed forearmed. So with that in mind, I'm Professor Adam from Whatculture.com, and these are 10 ways the universe could kill us all tomorrow if it wanted to. Number 10. Gamma ray bursts. There's a lot of radiation out there in the universe. So much so that if you so much as turn on an unconnected television, you can see and hear some of the radiation that's left over from the Big Bang. Yes, that's what static is, you're learning already. Thankfully, our planet comes fully equipped with an ozone layer that not only protects the planet from some of the really bad stuff that's floating around out there, but even stops our own sun roasting us to a crisp. But that sort of radiation is a figurative water gun compared to the tidal wave of badness caused by a gamma ray burst, which would simply fry off our protective atmosphere before drenching us all in lethal doses of radiation. Good stuff. Number 9. A magnetar. Might sound like a terrible villain from some forgotten comic series, but a magnetar is probably one of the scariest things in the whole universe. When a star dies, it can sometimes leave behind something called a neutron star, and these things are pretty terrible. Sometimes though, if the star was big enough, it leaves behind a magnetar instead, which is so much worse. As well as the aforementioned gamma rays, they spew out all number of other forms of radiation and energy across huge distances. The ripples of one tore through our solar system in the late 70s, leaving a few ruined satellites in its wake. Naturally, scientists didn't know a thing about it until after it had happened. Since then, about 21 other magnetars have been discovered in our immediate part of space, and they're all liable to snuff us out in the blink of an eye. Number 8. Our sun could explode. Well, that is to say, our sun could explode more. Being a giant living nuclear reactor, it's constantly in a state of exploding anyway, and all the light and warmth we receive is merely a fortunate byproduct of that. However, being a terrifying ball of cosmic fire, it's not exactly something we can predict very well, and it has a horrible habit of throwing some, let's say, excess out into the void every now and then. Solar flares are fairly common, but solar superstorms aren't. The last one occurred in 1859 and consisted of giant fireballs hurtling across the sky before almost everything electrical, which mercifully wasn't much, burst into flames. NASA thinks they occur every 150 years, which makes the next one about, 10 years overdue. Planes would drop from the sky, global lines of communication would be cut, and anyone taking a selfie might spontaneously combust into a ball of fire. Every cloud. Number 7. The Big Rip. No, not a tabloid headline about banking charges. The Big Rip is actually the almost inevitable byproduct of something we know is actually happening. Dark energy, which, as well as sounding totally badass, is probably the most powerful force in existence, is what we think is behind the universe's continued expansion, dating right the way back to the Big Bang. Assuming that it can't carry on like this forever, and we do assume that, either the expansion will reverse and time will go backwards, or the entire universe will tear itself apart. A bit like blowing up a balloon, either you're going to let the air back out or you're going to burst it. Of course, if the universe does tear itself apart, it would mean that every molecule in creation would split at exactly the same time. We would neither know it was coming or even notice it had happened. We, and everything else, would just be gone. Number 6. A stellar black hole. Okay, so you know how black holes are so massive that we think it's what our entire galaxy is orbiting around? Well, there are some black holes out there that aren't so massive. Some are about the size of our sun, and as a result, they're pretty much free to roam about and annihilate things at will. The main problem with black holes, one of the many problems with black holes is there is virtually no way to detect them until they start interacting with some other object. Of course, a black hole's favourite means of interacting with something is to suck it in and crush it into a singularity, so if one is lurking around our solar system, it probably won't be spotted until our own sun started to look like a cheese string. After that, all the molecules on Earth would be sucked towards its core and compressed to the size of a pinhead. Haha, good times. Number 5. A meteor. Hollywood's favourite means of placing the human race in peril is also the most probable, as without Bruce Willis to go and blow it up, we'd all likely be obliterated in a burning inferno by any major impact. There's so much cosmic debris out there that asteroids hit the Earth every single day. Most of them are so small they burn up on impact and we never hear anything about it, but there are some absolutely colossal rocks out there looking for a new home. Improbably, NASA actually managed to find a near-Earth object that could wipe out the entire planet a few years ago, and after some fretting about it swinging back and clattering into the Earth, they think it's probably going to miss us. Probably. When quizzed about how many days, months or years warning there would be over a potentially apocalyptic meteor, the answer from NASA was that the most likely warning would be 0. Oh, we're so f***ed. We're so f***ed. Number 4, the Higgs Boson. Switzerland's most famous resident and the poster boy for particles everywhere, the Higgs Boson will probably be the death of all life on Earth. Stephen Hawking thinks so, and he's apparently something of an expert. The theory comes from the very real possibility that the particle could create a vacuum bubble that would expand throughout the entire universe, wiping out everything along with it. Thankfully, and you'll have noticed this yourself, our experiments so far haven't had this side effect, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened somewhere else. Whether some other civilization has destroyed themselves with it, or this calamity has found a way to occur naturally, a Higgs boson shockwave could be tearing through time and space this very second. If so, it'll currently be travelling at the speed of light in every imaginable direction, meaning that while it might have taken millions of years to reach Earth, it wouldn't be spotted before it undid all of existence. Number 3, a dark galaxy. You might already be familiar with the concept of galaxies roaming around the universe and every so often colliding with one another. Depending on how densely packed with stars they are, the result is either a spectacular merging, a harmless crossover, or a horrifying annihilation. In a few billion years, our galaxy is going to merge with the Andromeda Galaxy, and scientists aren't totally sure yet how bad that might be for us. I mean, chances are we won't be around to see it anyway, but one thing Andromeda has got going for it is that it's visible. There are a lot of other galaxies out there, something like 94% of the total in fact, that aren't visible because they're made up entirely of black holes and dark matter. They're roaming around just as freely as anything else, and one could smash into us at any moment. But it's not all bad news though, because if one did smash into us, as it could at any moment, we'd be treated to the most amazing visual feast of stars exploding, black holes throwing entire solar systems around, and the laws of gravity all just giving up at once. Before, obviously, all life on Earth being torn to shreds in the most violent ways imaginable. Number 2, aliens. It sort of goes without saying, but for all the exploding stars and collapsing singularities in the universe, it's almost as probable that there is some awful super predator race out there with equally as unpalatable intentions for us. Humanity's search for other intelligent life has thus far remained unreciprocated, and the reasons for this are as widely speculated about as they are impossible to prove. One theory, however, is that life appears so rare in the universe because, just like life on Earth, there are dominant species who are looking to stay at the top of the food chain. Assuming that any species have mastered the trivial challenge of intergalactic spaceflight and harnessed enough energy to support themselves blossoming into a growing universe, it's almost a given that they'd have the means to wipe out an indigenous population in a stroke. Think of an anthill that's in the way of a new housing estate. There are no results there that work out nicely for the ants. And just in case it's not perfectly clear here, we're the ants. We are so the ants. Number 1, something we don't even know about yet. In the grand scheme of things, humanity has been around for the relative blink of the intergalactic eye. If all of time was represented by the keys on a piano, the human race has been around for the width of one piano string over the edge of the very last key. It's only in the last few centuries that scientific understanding has even emerged, and only in the last few decades where that's developed to the point of identifying all the terrible things in the night sky. To think they've all been found, or that the surface has even been scratched, is naive at best and suicidal at worst. Chances are, if some calamitous fire does rain down upon the Earth, humanity will have absolutely no idea what it is, where it came from, or how to stop it. The universe is vast and endless, so too are the things it's capable of creating, and goddamn space, you are scary. So that, unfortunately, is our list. Do you know any other ways we could all be snuffed out in the blink of an eye? If so, be sure to never, ever tell us in the comments. While you're here, you might as well like, share and subscribe, I guess. I mean, we could all be dead tomorrow or never have even existed anyway. Bummer, eh? Anyway, until the cosmic rapture does occur, I've been Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'm so very sorry. Hello there, you've made it all the way to the end of the video, and as part of my designated 18 hours of community service, I'm here to tell you that we have a number of other channels available for you to subscribe to, as well as other slightly, possibly not related videos for you to watch. So please do one of the things to my left or right, otherwise I have to pick up leaves on the roadside.